At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast is now on YouTube. Go on YouTube and search Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast and click that subscribe button to never miss an episode. Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts this week, Wrestling Chris G, and on the other line with me is my best friend to the end, part 2. Good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, my man, how you doing?
Boo.
All right. Hold on. Hear me out. On the other line with me is the Ritchie to my Ash. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, my man, how you doing?
How come you're the star of the show?
I could never win with you. But how you doing this week, man?
I'm good.
That's good. Today's episode is episode 81, titled Friend and Foe Alike, or translated from Japanese, Sekiei Stadium versus Hiroshi. So, yes. But, all right. Let's see. Bum. Sorry, I just got a text message from my wife. I will edit this part out. Hold on. Oh, okay. Give me 1 second and I will mark this at the 1 minute mark until 2 minutes. 1 to 2 minutes. Okay. So, yes, Doug, that's what this week's episode is titled. And we are doing a twofer, so sorry if we don't talk too much this week, because we got that out in the last episode that we recorded. But yeah, it's that time, everybody. It is now time for round 5 of the Pokemon League. And we are literally 1 episode away from the ending of the Kanto region. Doug, what a ride this has been so far.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, at times it felt like we were never going to hit the Pokemon League. At times it felt like Ash didn't want to hit the Pokemon League.
I don't think he did.
There was that stretch there, before we got here, where it's like, so they're just literally throwing any ideas at the wall, seeing what sticks to have him avoid getting here. And, credit to these episodes, they have lived up to their billing. There have been some great battles. There's been some evolutions. There's been some comeback stories. Minimal Team Rocket involvement, except for the past week and unfortunately a little bit of this week.
Well, it's not as Team Rocket heavy this week as it was the previous week. So I mean,
very true.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we've had our ups, we've had our downs, and to think, Doug, we started this podcast, which I will call the peak of our podcast, because everyone had nothing to do but sit inside and find shit to do. We started this right in the basically the beginning of the pandemic, and
Hmm.
we've rode this wave all the way to right now, and we're finally getting back to some normalcy, and we're still doing this, and it's fun, and I'm having a ball doing this, and we've evolved. We've gone. I mean, people who listen to our earlier episodes can attest to the audio quality compared to now, and I mean, we sound 10 times better than what we did back then.
Very, very, very true.
And we kind of seem like we know what we're doing. I mean, no, we didn't have the whole Pokemon packs at the beginning either. We didn't have we don't have ratings on every single episode that we have done. But I mean, going forward, I mean, this is fun, and hopefully the future is bright. I have a list of people that I'm going to try getting in contact with, and I can talk to you off air about it, but that I want to collaborate with like we've done in the past, get some new guests on, maybe get some old voices back on the show as well, and continue this ride, Doug. I think this has been fun so far.
Absolutely.
So, but all right, everybody. That's going to be our talking segment. So this week, this episode has premiered, let's see, January 14th, 1999 in Japan, and here in the States, November 27th, 1999. And Doug, I believe you're doing the 1991 and mine is 2013. Am I correct?
Right, because you tried to scoop me.
All right. So go ahead, Doug, because I think this is apropos to what's actually coming up around the time that this episode is dropping. So go ahead and let everybody know what yours is, Doug.
So on this day, that would be November 27th, the year of our Lord, 1991. The Undertaker defeats Hulk Hogan at that year's Survivor Series to win his very first WWF Championship. And
Damn. So that was the very first?
it was his very first one. And I don't want to go too deep into kind of what all was going around, because you never know when some of these episodes are going to air, and I don't want to scoop myself. But it was a very interesting stretch for the WWF Championship. I will just leave it at that, and because who knows? We've either talked about it on previous shows, or we will talk about it. So if you know, you know. If you don't know, you might find out.
All right.
But I figured this was apropos, because, like you said, we're not 100% sure when this is going out, but The Undertaker has been announced for this year's WWE Hall of Fame. WrestleMania is going to be in Texas over 2 nights.
Yes. Which
Year.
I think is ridiculous. I mean, it. I'm sorry. Personal views aside, so New Japan Pro Wrestling, and yes, everybody, we are wrestling fans, has been doing the whole 2 night Wrestle Kingdom for a couple years, and it's been a huge success, right?
Mm-hmm.
They did the 2 night. They've been doing the 2 night WrestleMania for the past couple years. They did it during the pandemic. They did it coming out of the pandemic when they could actually have people in the stadium when people still had to social distance, and which it didn't seem like they were social distancing, but that's neither here nor there. Let's see. On my date, everybody, on November 27th, 2013 is the day Frozen, the highest grossing animated film of all time, starring India Menzel and Kristen Bell, is released. So, great movie. When my son watched it, huge fan when he was growing up. Now my daughter huge fan, and she sings the song. She asks her Alexa in her room to play it all the time,
Oh,
along with various other songs, and then that's the movie that premiered. Other than that, everybody knows what that movie is, and now it's time to get on into our episode. If you're ready, Doug.
I've never seen the sequel.
Oh, really?
Well, not all the way through. I've seen bits and pieces.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we can get into this. And much like last week, pardon me, for goodness sakes, we just had a recap of the past episode, so you can pretty much skip the first 2 minutes. Um, and we come on after the title sequence, and Ash is Ash is in the cabin, he's looking out the window, and he's saying, "Why does my next match have to be against Ritchie? Everything happens to me, and he's me." We pan over and we see that Misty is on the computer, and she's on the Pokemon League database. What an odd sentence that is in the age of having all the information you want on your fucking phone in your hand. Um, she's like, oh, this has information about all the trainers in the Pokemon League, even about Ritchie. And find out that Ritchie is on a clean streak. He, in all of his previous 4 matches, he has not lost one Pokemon.
No, and I think they shouldn't have done that to Ash. Like I felt bad. Like I felt horrible as soon as they said that, because they're like, yeah, he's on a nice little winning streak, and on every single battle that he's had, his first Pokemon has won all 3, and I'm like, well, damn. And then they go into, and this is what kind of kicks me. They go in and they actually say that his Butterfree, everybody, has won all 4 rounds. So nobody has seen his other Pokemon during this time span. So we've only seen his Butterfree.
Oh my god, I didn't even put that together.
Yeah, the only Pokemon that he has 3 Pokemon that he's using, but this is when Brock is saying that he might be able to use his Pikachu against the flying type of his Butterfree to kind of shock it, that it might be good to use Butterfree.
Oh my, that blows my mind.
But Ash is like, he's like, you know what? Screw this for right now. I mean, he might be my friend, but nothing's going to stop me from winning my match tomorrow. And I'm hoping that he's thinking the same way. And then we go straight from that to Ritchie at the Pokemon Center, and he's there to pick up his Pokemon that he had left the night before. And Ritchie does have all 6 Pokemon, which I'm guessing he went to heal them after the scuttlebutt with Team Rocket the night before. Doug?
Well, they got chucked in the bag. They might be a little bit traumatized. His Pikachu, his Charmander, his Butterfree, um,
And his other Pokemon.
had to see some action, and you might as well, it's like when you go in for a tune-up, you don't just look at one tire, you look at all of them. I guess unless one tire has a nail, that analogy might not. Shut up.
I was like, where's he going with this?
It's late. I don't fucking know. So Richie gets his Pokemon, and he turns around, and we see Ash, and they're acting kind of standoffish. Ash especially, because he doesn't know how to interact with people, and Richie's like, hey, we're friends. We went through that bullshit the other day. You know, let's have let's have a battle for battle's sake, and may the best man win. And they do like I suppose it's a fist bump. I didn't see it as a fist bump before. I saw it as like a hinge, but it's a fist bump.
Yeah,
And
it's a fist bump, and you can tell that Ash is kind of bothered a little bit because that's his brand new friend.
and pardon me. And we see Ash picking up his Pokeballs as well. And Nurse Joy has a nice little nugget of wisdom saying, you should consider yourself lucky that you're battling a friend because no matter who wins, you can be happy for each other as you move on in the tournament.
Well, her, her
And
her her remark was just a little bit more harsher than that. She straight up said, "Well, even if you don't win your battle, you can still be happy for your friend because your friend won." Like, shut up, Nurse Joy. No need to put those kind of vibes out there.
she saw what Pokemon he was running with and was like, "Oh, you're going to be in trouble in a minute."
She handed him back 5 Pokeballs, which means at some point, Charizard was let out of that Pokeball and cared for, and Charizard probably was a, you know what? Charizard was probably the nicest Pokemon in there until he got back to Ash, and he's like, man, this motherfucker.
Doesn't know, treats me like a lighter, for goodness sakes.
I don't listen to him. Give me the Brock. I'll at least listen to him. Give me the Misty. I'll swim with her Pokemon. I'll just keep my tail up.
Yeah, but you can't put a Charizard in the water.
As long as the tail is out of the water. I mean, we've seen rock Pokemon sit underneath waterfalls with Bruno.
Well, you're full of shit.
So, all right. Doug, you want to go after the nurse story comment?
So we pan up and we see Team Rocket in the kind of the bulb of the Pokemon Center, basically. And James is like, "Oh, they're friendship," and it's like friends are nice to have, but and Jesse's like, "Well, there's always been something that's prevented me from having friends," and James is like, it must have been your personality, and Jesse's like, "That's right, my personality," and she snaps and she smacks him, which she shouldn't really do because James is just coming down from that concussion he had in the RV.
I know.
Last episode.
I know. Like he making his ears ring again.
But then, as she's recovering from the strike, she's like, "I know how we can work the troops' friendship in our favor." And then we see Ash's cabin is getting a phone call.
And Ash goes, or not Ash, but Misty goes and picks up the phone. And it's Jessie from Team Rocket, but her voice is being muffled, and she has a device that makes her voice sound like Ritchie's voice. And Misty's like, "Oh, hi, Ritchie." And Jessie's like, "Is Ash there?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, but he's getting ready for the match." And she's like, "You're that stuck-up little big mouth Misty, aren't you?" And Misty's like, "What?" She's like, "Listen, Lamo, I didn't call." Or no. Jesse's like, "Listen, Lamo, I didn't call to talk to you." And every word that's coming out of Jesse's mouth, Misty's face is just scrunching up, and she's like, "I know he is not saying, oh my God, I'm going to hurt this boy." And Jesse then continues and goes, "Just go get Ash and get lost." And Misty just snaps. She's like, "Well, you can have him, you nasty little weasel."
Weasel.
She's like, "Here, Ash, your Prince Charming is calling." And Ash's like, "Who's that?" She's like, and she walks away. "I should have known that kid was too good to be true."
And we don't hear Well, actually, we do. Ritchie says, "Oh, I need to tell you something about um, Pikachu. So bring him and come outside. I need to talk to you right now." And Ash is like, "Well, okay." And he's like, "Come on, Pikachu. We need to go." And as they're heading out the door, Brock says, "Well, your Pokemon match is coming up." And Ash says, "Listen here, Brock. You know, there are two things I'll never be late for: a meal or a Pokemon match."
And,
And
and Misty, this whole frame is just pissed. She's just
she's
sitting on the
just
couch, just
seething. Just,
because someone finally had a nice line to say to her. God forbid someone says something to her,
right.
even though she's putting Ash down all the time. But Ash ends up walking out. Jessie hangs up the phone and she says, "A leading lady who's also done character work. Oh, I should have my own show." And then James and Meowth are like, whatever. But we have Pikachu and Ash just running in the grass field, and Ash is like, "Hey, Ritchie, where are you?" And we see this mechanical Ritchie, which is obviously mechanical, and it's standing behind a bush, and it's Jesse going, "Hi, Ash. I'm glad you can make it," making this little puppet talk. And Ash is like, "What are you doing standing over in that bush?" And um, Ash is like, he's like, "So what's this thing you want to tell me about Pikachu?" And then all of a sudden, it's like, "Well, Ash, you won't like it." And then a big old net drops from the tree above him and just wraps Pikachu and Ash up in up in this little like parachute. And Jesse pops up and goes, "Pikachu's mine, so prepare for trouble." Doug,
Yeah, pardon me. So
the model.
they do the motto. James comes rappelling down from a tree. Um, surrender now, prepare to fight. Meowth drops in, and how strong is this net? Because both Pikachu and I don't know. It looks like it's weighted at the bottom, so maybe I don't know, but it still seems lame.
Yeah, it
Um,
has weights in the corners.
but it still seems lame. I feel like even if he's only 10, and a Pikachu could probably, but whatever. It's a kids show. Um, so they're stuck. Jesse's like, our dial-a-twerk plan worked. Um, worked like a charm. It worked because I'm charming, Jesse says. Um, um, they're like, now we're done with this brainless little brat. And Meowth says, well, if he's so brainless, how come he's beating us every time we've tried to get this Pikachu?
And Jesse and James shut him up. They're like, "Shush! Don't let him hear you say that."
And Ash is like, well, I really don't have time for this crap. I got a Pokemon match to get to, and they're like, oh, about that, we have bad news about the Pokemon League. You're out of it. And he gets thrown in the back of a
Of a van.
van. So he's just having no luck with vehicles in the past couple episodes.
No, not at all. And we jump straight from that to Misty just sitting here with Togepi, and she's worried about Ash. Brock runs back into the room, and he's like, "Did Ash come back yet?" And Misty's like, "No, he hasn't called or anything. We haven't heard from him." And Brock is like, "I went looking for him in the Pokemon Village, and he wasn't there either." And Misty has the bright idea, which is logical. Well, maybe Ash decided to just go straight over to the stadium with Ritchie. And Brock has his suspicions, and he's like, "Yeah, maybe he did do that. So maybe we should just start heading over there because the battle starts in a half an hour." So we're counting down, everybody. We got 30 minutes until the Pokemon battle, and then the next scene that we have is this van that Ash is in, is getting filled up with water. and there's water spewing out of the van, and Jesse and James and Meowth are freaking out. They're like, "What is going on? The truck is flooding!" And we go inside the back, and okay, hear me out here with what I'm about to say. How the hell does this little tiny Squirtle have this much water that it can spew out?
Yeah, this can't be healthy.
I'm just saying, but
And it's not like it's in a body of water where it can replenish itself.
no, it's just spewing it out. And Ash sent out his Squirtle, everybody, in the back of this truck, and Squirtle is continuously pouring out water out of its mouth to where it's overfilling this truck so they can easily bust out. And Jesse, James, and Meowth are getting mad. Meowth is getting wet, so he crawls on James' face, and James is like, "Get off my face, Meowth." And he's like, "I can't see where I'm driving." Not at all. How does he still have a license?
Why is he still driving?
For real.
And yeah, that reminds me of something he said during the last episode. Because after he does that evasive maneuver to kind of get Pikachu off its game, before Ritchie calls out Sparky, Jesse looks back and goes, "Nice driving," and James goes, "Thanks. Maybe I should get a license."
So he doesn't. But it's at this point that Meowth being on James' face makes James go out of control with this truck, and he drives the truck off the road to where it hits a standing tree that's off the side of the road, and Jesse flies out of the truck. Meowth is hanging out of the windshield, and James has Jesse by her arms so she doesn't fall and die, basically. And it's at this point Ash, Pikachu, and Squirtle walk out of this truck, and Ash is like, "All right, well, I don't have time for this anymore, so we got to get back to the Pokemon League." And Doug, I'm gonna hand this over to you at the start of the Pokemon League stadium.
So we see Ritchie standing in the stadium. He's kind of in the tunnel. He's kind of taking it all in, and we see that he's focused, and then we cut to Ash and Pikachu just hauling ass, and got to get to the stadium, and then we cut behind them because we hear stop, and we see Team Rocket is operating basically one axle of this car, like nothing else, just the axle, and they're basically riding it.
Gotta fill that time, man.
They obviously can't stop, and they're going downhill. So all Ash has to do is pin himself to the wall, and Team Rocket just crashes. And even after they crash, they jump up and they say, "Look, you're not getting to this Pokemon. You're not getting to this match, and you're not going to get past us." And Ash is like, "Well, fuck that," and he just calls out Bulbasaur, and Bulbasaur hits him with Vine Whip, and he's just going to town on him, and
just whacking him.
And Pikachu hits him with Thunder Shock, and that's it, obviously, because it's just Team Rocket. And as they've got the anime crossed eyes and they're fried up, they say, "Oh, you're not gonna get past us," kind of weakly. And Ash is like, "Watch me," and which I liked. And he's running, and you can see that it's getting towards dusk, and he's just hauling ass, and he's just, we gotta get there. And then we find out that Team Rocket has fucking bikes, because why wouldn't they? And
where the hell did they get these bikes?
I have no idea. And not a clue in the world.
If you're wondering, everybody, this is the Looney Tunes episode of Pokemon.
This is all we're missing is Meowth trying to paint a picture of a opening on a rock.
For real.
So James calls out Weezing to use Smog Attack, and he runs past Ash, and obviously Ash loses track of where he's at, and Team Rocket pulls up outside the smog cloud, And they say, look, either you give us Pikachu or we're not going to let you get past. So it's really up to you. And Ash is like in the cloud of smog, and he's coughing, and he's thinking back to the conversation he had with Ritchie at the Pokemon Center, and
He's like, I
um,
promised Ritchie.
which I don't understand how he. I mean, when this guy gets a friendship, he friends hard,
Yeah, he
and
does.
he has this glimmer out of the corner of his eye. And he sees a bike. He just grabs the bike and just goes pedaling out of the cloud, and he's like, "Oh, who's brainless now?" And he literally leaves Team Rocket in the dust, and we see who's that Pokemon, and it's Aerodactyl. And once again, I'll ask why it's Aerodactyl.
Because Aerodactyl didn't get his time to shine in his own episode.
He really didn't, did he? And then we come back, and we're in the stadium, and we see that it's full, and we see that it must be getting close to. Pardon me. We see that it's getting close to nut cutting time, and they're like, "Well, one of the competitors is here, but the other competitor, Ash Ketchum, is nowhere to be seen. And if Ash doesn't arrive in time, he's going to forfeit his match."
Be
Richie
disqualified.
and Richie's like in having an internal monologue. He's like, "Where could he be?" And Mrs. Ketchum is, stereotypical worried mom face, and she's like, "Do you think he got himself in trouble?" And Oak is just like, "Oh, probably, but it's his show, so he'll probably find a way out of it."
And
And
and Misty just had no chill. She's like, you know what? I'm going to go down there because I'm pretty sure Richie has something to do with this. So remember, everybody, flashback about 5 minutes ago, Misty thinks Richie basically cursed her out on the phone, just called her every mean name in the book. So she runs down the stand, and Misty is just giving it. She's like, you must have said that a real friend wouldn't show up to a Pokemon match, you two-faced phony. And Richie's like, I'd never say anything like that. And she's like, you can quit acting. And it's funny because as this is going on, the announcer for the Pokemon Stadium, and it's like, oh, we might be getting way more action than we expected right now. So they're talking about Misty just like ransacking Richie just back and forth. And Misty's like, you're nice to me in public, but when you call on the phone, you're just a little big mouth. And Richie's like, wait a second. What do you mean? He's like, when you call on the phone, what are you talking about? And Misty's like, when you called Ash today, dummy. And she's like, what do you think? I mean, he's like, I never talked to you on the phone. And he's like, honest. And Misty's looking at him, and she's looking at his eyes, and she's like, you're really telling the truth, aren't you? And he's like, yeah. He's like, Ash and I never talked. And she's like, well, then who called? But then what's going on? And then we flash back, and Ash is riding his bike. He's riding the stolen bike from Team Rocket so he can get over to his Pokemon match. And of course, we're still not done with Team Rocket. Oh boy, everybody. I mean, we can't just get to this damn match. But the Looney Tunes are back, and this time they have a crane from a crane machine. And they go and they grab Ash by the bike, and they're holding up Ash on this bike. So Ash must have some strength, because I don't know if I could hold on to a bike like that without flipping off.
no,
Especially,
I'd have been off the bike as soon as they started lifting it.
yeah, for real. And Team Rocket is like, yeah, but now we got you and your Pikachu too. And they're like, ha 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 ha. And Ash is like, I gotta do something. And then he sends out Pidgeotto. Doug?
And Pikachu jumps on Pidgeotto so he can ride up there, kind of like in the opening. And Pikachu hops off and lands on the basket and hits Team Rocket with Thunder Shock while they still have Ash suspended, which um, Team Rocket explodes
through the
They
basket.
they go blasting off. We can see the Pikachu's a little exhausted because he's had a hell of a couple hours, and then it's up to fucking Pidgeotto to goddamn drag this basket to the state, which bullshit. And
Yeah,
they're off.
At this point, why wouldn't he just have Pidgeotto put him down and he just ride the bike back to the stadium?
Right. So speaking of the stadium, we're back in it, and we see that Ritchie's kind of looking dejected, and the official comes up and he's going to say, "Listen, your opponent hasn't showed up. You're the victor via forfeit." And he's like, "Listen, you can't call this match. I don't want to win this way. Ash will be here. Just give it a few more minutes." And the announcers are stunned. He's like, "Ash and I promised each other, and he'll never break his promise, even though I've only known him for like 2 days." And the official's like, "Well, you're lucky you're the last battle of the evening. You got 10 minutes." And everyone's like, "Okay, you got 10 minutes." And then you look at the counter, and the episode's only got 9.5. So something's going to fucking happen. And Brock is like, "Well, that's the mark of a great trainer." And Misty's like, "Well, that's all well and good, but Ash needs to show up." And Oak's in the crowd like, "Your son has great taste in friends, doesn't he?" And Miss Ketchum's like, "He sure does." And Pidgeotto is just hauling this whole bike, and Ash is like, "We're gonna make it." I mean, because
he treats his Pokemon like crap. He's really having this Pidgeotto haul this Team Rocket balloon with him hanging at the bottom with a bike attached, might I add. And Pikachu and him are just sitting comfortably, just catching their breath. And Pidgeotto, I mean, at this point, you better look up at Pidgeotto, or you better have said to Pidgeotto off screen, "Well, I promise you won't have to battle in this next match."
Yeah, no, you're on the sidelines in this one. And
the ref comes back.
He's like, "Look, it's been 10 minutes. This is ridiculous." And of course, because it's a TV show, right at that point, Ash goes, "Hey, Ritchie, I made it!" And the crowd's going wild. The announcer's like, he just made the most dramatic entrance in Pokemon League history." And we see the balloon floating off, and they're about to battle. And Ritchie's a piece of shit.
Why?
He has to understand what Ash just went through to get here.
Yes.
Postpone this battle until tomorrow.
For real. And Mrs. Ketchum is up in the stands and she's yelling. She's like, "As you apologize to every single person in this stadium for making us wait. You apologize this instant." And Professor Oak is like, "Mrs. Ketchum, just take it easy." And the announcer then he's like, "Well, folks, good things come to those who wait. It's Pokemon battle time." And of course, everybody, we have 8 minutes left in this episode, which like 2 minutes of it is music. So we have
6 minutes.
Yeah, we have like 6 minutes left. And we're finally getting the 5th round in this Pokemon League battle. And it's about to begin now. And Richie's like, "I don't know what kept you from being here, but I'm glad you made it here for this match. So let's go ahead and get the biggest battle ever." And Ash is like, "I'm ready when you are." So get ready, everybody, because this battle is going to go really fast. So Ritchie throws out his Pokemon and it's Butterfree. And Ash brings out Squirtle at this point, which is dumb. Dumb. You knew he was sending out Butterfree because Butterfree is his first Pokemon in every single battle so far. You dummy. You go and bring out your Pikachu. Stupid. But Pikachu's rested. It's not like he's tired. Yeah, he rested a little bit, but he at least has enough for a Thunderbolt. But so it's Butterfree versus Squirtle, and it's at this point that they Butterfree goes in for a tackle attack, and Butterfree goes in for a tackle, and Squirtle goes in for an uppercut to the stomach. And then freaking Butterfree comes in with what looks like a curb stomp, because we're getting a bunch of fast frames because it's the end of the episode. Squirtle comes back with a water gun attack. And then it's at this point Ritchie tells his Butterfree to use sleep powder attack. And that is the end of Squirtle, because Squirtle has fallen asleep and he can no longer compete in this match. So Ash is now down one Pokemon. Doug.
Ash is like, well, shit. He's looking down, and all of a sudden Pikachu just jumps in. I mean, he didn't even get the go-ahead. He just goes. He tackles Butterfree, and I mean, literally, like, tackles him and pins him down. And you can tell Pikachu, he's exhausted, but, I mean, the heat of the battle got him. And you can tell Butterfree's a little taken aback. And, you know, Butterfree's trying to fly away, and Pikachu's got him by the...
by the foot.
By the foot. And he hits him with a thunder shock in midair, and Butterfree collapses. And for the first time in the tournament, Ritchie has lost a Pokemon. You could see that Pikachu is exhausted. He got that fall, and he's like, and Ritchie's like, well, now it's might as well fight fire with fire. And he calls out his Zippo, and
who is Charmander.
He's just hitting him with a free spray of a flamethrower, just like a lawn sprinkler, just and Pikachu's dodging as much as possible, but he's getting hit occasionally, and Pikachu thinks he dodged the last bit of attack, and he lands, and Charmander comes running in with like a skull bash. He just blam, and Pikachu lands. And you can see he's beat up, and he tries to stand up like the valiant baby face, and he just goes blah. And the referee raises the flag, and Ash is down to his final shot.
I know, and just for saying, yeah, that was a tackle attack, but they animated that to where that tackle attack looked like a straight up just skull bash. That looked like it was just a hard ass headbutt. Just straight over to Pikachu, which is what took him out.
Like, if Charmander was playing Madden, he definitely hit up on the hit stick.
For real.
And Ash is like, well, shit. You know, and he's like, I can't use Bulbasaur because, you know, he's weak on fire. So, I mean, I really don't want to. And it's my one true shot. And he calls out Charizard.
Who is his other Pokemon that he has on him? Okay, so let's kind of do some math here real quick. So he has Pikachu, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Pidgeotto, and who else?
Muck.
Okay, so he would still have Muck. So I think Muck would have done a better job than this.
And he could have had Dingler as well.
Yeah. Or wait, he hasn't caught Snorlax yet, has he? He doesn't have his own Snorlax yet. Okay. So I was about to say maybe he could have used Snorlax, but he doesn't have him yet. But
so yeah, Ash uses his Hail Mary, he calls out Charizard. Everybody's kind of stunned. And Charizard's kind of like, it's a battle. I got an itch. He's scratching himself. And Ritchie's like, all right, Zippo, keep it up. And Charmander throws one bit of flamethrower at Charizard. And Charizard's like, oh, you got fire? How about this? And he just, wah. And Charmander's just running for his daggum life.
Dude,
And Richie,
the announcer in this line, I'm sorry to cut you off, but the announcer has the funniest line at this point. He's like, it appears Ash's Charizard is simply too hot for Richie's Charmander to handle.
and Richie has to like literally throw in the towel, and he has to like call um his Charmander back mid run. So it's down to 1v1, and Richie's like, well, this may be risky, but it's the only chance I have. And he calls out his Pikachu, and um, Charizard's kind of like, seriously? I mean, I could just eat it. And Ash is like, be careful, Charizard. This Pikachu isn't as easy as it looks. And Charizard just goes, and he just does one stomp, and Pikachu falls over. He does another stomp, he falls over. Charizard's like, how about some wings? And Pikachu, and I mean, I'll say Sparky, and he just goes flying backwards, and Charizard just lets a little bit of steam out of his nose, and Charizard just seems so intent with himself, and she's like, don't give up, Sparky. So he gets up and he's going to hit him with like some agility or a quick attack, and he's running, and all of a sudden you see in his eyes a little bit of confusion, and he just stops, and it whips over to Charizard, and Charizard's taking a nap.
Yup. And it's at this point that Brock and Misty are like, oh no, this is a total disaster. And Mrs. Ketchum is like, why won't Charizard listen to Ash? And Professor Oak comes up with a great assumption. He's like, he may have thought Charmander as a flame type, just like itself, was a worthy adversary, but it doesn't want to bother battling a puny little Pikachu. So
I kind of like that. I mean, it's bullshit, but I kind of liked it. It's like, oh, I'll fight a flame type,
but I'm not about to sit here and barbecue a mouse.
Barbecue a mouse.
So the referee looks over at the Charizard and he's like, you know what? Fuck this. I've had so much of a night with waiting on Ash, and you're telling me his Pokemon are going to sleep in the middle of this battle? Charizard refuses the battle, everybody. Pikachu is the winner. Ash, you lose. And that is the end of the match. Ash has lost the Pokemon battle, which he should have rightfully have won. Like, and hear me out. Like, I've seen this scene like many, many, many times. I've seen this episode many times. But every single time that I see this episode, I feel for Ash.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he seriously should have won this battle to go off to the finals. Like, if Charizard were to listen to him during this match, I think he would have had a worthy spot of actually winning this Pokemon League, or at least getting all the way to the end just to lose.
My thing is, they should have postponed the battle, and you could make an argument, well, Ritchie was ready. It's not fair to postpone it just because Ash had some bumps in the road, but it was bumps that he didn't bring onto himself.
Yeah.
You could make an argument that he should have known that, Team Rocket might pull some trickery, but the fact that when he got to the stadium, you could see that, Pidgeotto was obviously in no shape to battle. You could see the Pikachu was a little exhausted. How much water did Squirtle use in his bit? We don't know. I mean, he filled that whole truck.
Yeah.
And again, he wasn't in a body of water to replenish himself. Charizard was a Hail Mary. So I mean, look, it's a shit ass way to lose.
It is.
Because Charizard literally just took a knee and was like, nah, I'm good. Got you one because I didn't want to lose to the worst version of myself, but I'm good. So it's a shit ass way to lose. And, like you said, Charizard refuses to battle. Ash collapses to his knees, calls back Charizard, should have thrown the Pokeball into the ocean. Richie runs over and says, Ash, are you okay? We could see that Ash wipes off a bit of tears and he stands up. He goes, "Well, it looks like you won." Like the most disingenuous way. Like if he said anything else, he was going to burst out crying. Um,
And Ash just
the,
goes, he's like, you know what, Richie? He's like, just make sure you win the next battle. Um, other basically saying, make sure you win that next battle because I would have won that next battle. And Richie's like, yeah, right, I'll do my best.
he said, "Make sure you win the next battle for me." Fuck that. Um, and Misty says, "Well, it looks like Ash is taking this pretty well." And Brock's like, "Well, he's happy for for his friend." And Misty says it's just a shame that one of them had to lose. And Brock says, "Well, from where I'm standing, they both look like winners." And um, Oak is um, Oak is
Oh,
like,
sorry.
"Yeah, I can't. Yeah, go ahead. I can't track it down."
No, Professor Oak says that he's happy. I mean, he's happy for Ash because he couldn't be any prouder even if he won. And we go straight from that to a cutscene of Ash standing in an empty Pokemon League, looking up at the Moltres flame, and he's like, "This has come to an end." But the dreams of becoming a Pokemon master continues. The narrator says he's learned a lot about winning and losing, and as his journey continues, his passion for Pokemon burns brighter than ever. And then we are done. So Ash is
Thankfully,
officially.
we didn't. Thankfully, we didn't get a shit ass tag with Team Rocket just for shits.
I know. And I mean, we had enough of Team Rocket in this
We
episode.
had enough. Yeah.
But yeah, that's it, everybody. Ash has lost his first Pokemon League. All the episodes that we watched coming up to here. I mean, I will say something. So now that it's over for Ash, when I was little and I was watching this, I expected Ash to win, and I think everybody expected Ash to win. And the fact that he got all the way up here and he lost,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, it teaches everybody like valuable lessons. It teaches kids that you can't win them all. Like even my son has been nervous for every single karate. So my son is in karate, everybody, but um, every single test that he's had, he has been very, very nervous. And I always tell him, I was like, even if you don't get your next belt, just make sure you do the best that you can to advance yourself. And he actually has a test in 2 days to find out if he's going to get his high blue belt, everybody. I mean, obviously, you're listening to this in the future, so the test is already over, but he's nervous. He's so nervous that he's been watching his karate instructor videos to kind of shaping up on his skills, and I think he has it because I see him working his ass off. But we'll find out if he ends up getting his high blue belt. He hasn't failed a test yet, and he's been in this karate for about a year and a half. So, and every 2 months he goes up a half step towards his black belt. So we will see. But Doug, what would you give this episode out of 5 stars?
Let's see. I gave the one before this a 2. I I'll bump it up because we did have the bat. So I mean, I'll give it a 2.5. It's not worth a full extra point bump. I just the Team Rocket foolishness was ridiculous.
Yeah,
Circumstances of the battle was ridiculous. The
yeah.
way Ash lost that final fall was bullshit. It's like
You felt for him though.
you did, and it's nothing that he could have done. He threw a Hail Mary pass with Charizard, and Charizard was Charizard.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it would have been unrealistic for like Charizard to get like a gleam in his eye and say, "Oh, this is competition, therefore I must dominate." It's also a kid's show, but I also see value in what you're saying about, just because he's the protagonist in the show doesn't mean he can hit a home run every time he steps up at bat.
Yeah.
So I would have rather him gone out with an actual battle against Ritchie's Pikachu. I mean, obviously we can't rebook this. So it is what it is. We will get the conclusion of the Pokemon League saga next time.
Yes. Next time.
Yeah, so this was a 2.5 for me.
All right, for me, I'm gonna bump it up as well. I'll give it about a 4. I liked it.
Oh.
Yeah, well, hear me out. Because I mean, yeah, the Team Rocket foolery was there, but I mean, we got a nice Pokemon battle, even though it wasn't the entire episode. But none of these episodes have had a full battle the entire episode. I liked the friendship. I liked the way that I like more of that of the lesson that was taught here. I mean, Ash did everything he could to get over to this battle. He almost all of it. Team Rocket almost had him lose after traveling the whole Kanto region to come over here to be disqualified for not showing up. I think that under different circumstances, Ash could have arrived and said, "Hey, I was kidnapped by Team Rocket. I'm sorry. That's their balloon right there. Can we do this battle tomorrow?" But they didn't. So it's at this point now where the lesson is, okay, I can't use Pidgeotto. Pikachu was half dead before he even got into the battle. Squirtle, I can't use Squirtle because Squirtle took all the water of his life, and he needs to be replenished. Like he had no luck. Like the cards were stacked against him, and he ended up failing. And it's not like he didn't try. And everybody still cheered him on. And Ritchie even knew. He knew he should have lost that battle, but he didn't. He won, and it was a bullshit win. And the lesson learned here was, Ash, train your damn Pokemon better. Maybe you'll have better luck in the Orange Islands. So,
yeah.
But okay, everybody. If you heard the last Kanto episode, you heard that I opened an Evolving Skies pack. So right now I'm going to open up the Fusion Strike pack. And then on the next Kanto episode, I will have the Brilliant Stars booster pack. So be on the lookout for that episode. If I can even open this, man. There we go. The pack didn't want to open. Ooh. I forgot. It's a white card with a Fusion Strike. I don't know if that's good or bad. My mind's blanking right now. Doug, energy card.
Fire.
It's electric.
Son of a bitch.
Sorry.
Damn it.
I have a Turtonator, a Pikamuku, a Trainer Schoolgirl, a Buneri, a Basculin, a Grubbin, a Mankey, a Krogant, a Reverse Hollow Slugma, and my rare is a non-hollow Verizon. So yeah, I guess the white card in the Fusion Strike packs with the new design on it are dud packs. So I'm looking for the one with the black border, but I did not get that. So dud pack this week. And I'll be nice again, everybody, people who play the Pokemon trading card game. Here is your, I'm not going to give the abbreviation, so you hear it as you hear it. It is VKTN7MNZNZZH, everybody. So there you go. If you play the Pokemon trading card game, there's a free Fusion Strikes pack for you. But other than that, do you have anything else to add for this week, Doug?
I don't believe I do.
All right, everybody. And we have one more episode in the Kanto region, and I might be nice enough to drop that episode next week, so you don't have to wait 2 weeks. But we will be in the Orange Islands in a couple of weeks, everybody. I would say in about 2 or 3 weeks, depending on if we're going to drop a black and white episode. I will keep you all informed, but we have one more. So go ahead and say your goodbye, Doug.
Goodbye, Doug.
And this is Wrestling Chris G telling all of you, I will see you next week, everybody. Thank you for listening. Have a good night.